All righty. I assume that all 30-something of us are here, and I have a little problem that probably requires shutting down my whole computer, for which there is not time. So, in fact, I'll rely upon Joe, Biel, and Michael to find me certain pages that I may want to talk about. Then I'll shut the whole thing down, and hopefully it will work. Well, you know, and I do, again, want to give credit to Starling David Hunter, who has assembled this compilation and who has prepared a 6-volume treatise, I guess, on the compass of light, and it's all about the great invocation. So you may be interested in writing him and finding out how you investigate some of his work. Well, okay, I don't know why it's at 7 p.m. We're not starting at 7 p.m. We're starting at 5 p.m.
Okay. It's 7 p.m. your time, isn't it?
8, actually. So far, we're ahead by 3 hours. Yeah, there's something wrong with my computer. I'm just not able to write. That's the only problem. Yeah, see, that's really what it is. So this is it says another triangle of power. That's where we are. And I'm going to shoot over here, hoping to, this is 247. And I assume you see page 247. Okay. Tell me if you don't. We are talking about a triangle of power. Okay, another triangle of power. Through this planet, Uranus, Libra is related also to Aries and Aquarius. I guess that's the triangle of power, with Uranus as a ruler of all three of them. The hierarchical, well, the esoteric ruler of Libra, the hierarchical ruler of Aries, and the orthodox ruler of Aquarius. Now, I've been dealing with these rulerships so long that under normal circumstances of a sane and awake mind, I know them. But it may be that you have still to learn all of the rulerships of all of the signs on 3 different levels. Now, don't hesitate to do that, because it will facilitate your study of the triangles. Obviously, you can only imagine what is in Master DK's mind in terms of understanding the passage of the energies. So Uranus relates these 3. Aries and Libra are brought into touch with each other in a very deep sense. Now, I cannot easily move from point to point to show that, but they relate to the Great Bear, Aries and Libra, together. Through its activity, and I assume that's Uranus, an intense interplay takes place. Probably we have no, real idea of what that is until it shows up in our chart and we begin to be able to process its energies. Through its activity, an intense interplay takes place, making for the, and this is the important point, I think, making for the attainment of equilibrium in Libra, that which has had its beginning in Aries. Now, you can use this connection not even on the highest level, because often the sign opposite your let's say sun sign or rising sign is simply important in order to help you understand equilibrium. Well, I might say that every Aries type has what Libra shows, and many Libran types have what Aries shows. So these pairs of opposites, oftentimes with Gemini equilibrating. Now, bear that in mind, that Gemini is the equilibrator between the opposites. And so let me just run over that for you. Aries, Libra, Gemini. Taurus, Scorpio, Gemini. And when it comes to Gemini and Sagittarius, Pisces takes the Gemini role of equilibration. Cancer, Capricorn, Gemini. Leo, Aquarius, Gemini. And Virgo, Pisces, Gemini. So it is, with its great second-ray nature, producing 5 significant equilibrized triangles. And I think the day will come when you and I are, more deeply into the hierarchy, and we will be helping to build the thought forms which will help humanity, and we will want to take advantage of what is available to us to build. Now, there's also a very high manner in which the point opposite the sun sign is, let's say, utilized. And by now you know what that is. It is considered the monadic point. And if you are at the stage, and I don't know who of us really is, at the stage where the monad is deeply significant and effective, then the sign opposite your sun sign will be the inlet for monadic energy in a particular life. Now, probably you'll have a few lives wherein the monad is effective, and those few lives will oftentimes have a change of sun sign. And what that means is that the monadic point changes too. And so whatever influence comes in from the monad will be differently qualified depending on the point opposite your changed sun sign. Now, of course, first of all, and if we join the science of being, identify as being group, we'll actually be working with the substance of what the monad is. And before we can start manipulating a bunch of different inlets, we better know at least something of what the presence of the monad feels like. So anyway, the attainment of equilibrium in Libra, but it may lack initiative. And if things begin in Libra, they will have balance, but it's tough to move ahead sometimes, as the Aries type does. So you can think of the point opposite your sun sign, and also how Gemini can complete the triangle and what it might mean. Because remember that the only ray, at least that DK gives for Gemini, is the second ray. And it is a fusing, blending ray. Okay, Aries, Libra, and Aquarius. And here's what Starling has written. Constitute, therefore, another triangle of power, which must later be considered, well, maybe at a more advanced stage of evolution. These triangles will, as I have earlier hinted, dominate the new astrology. So, hold on to your chair, get ready for a whole new presentation of the ancient science. And I wouldn't be surprised if Master DK, as he externalizes, is one of the foremost presenters of the new version, the triangulating version of the science of astrology. These triangles, he goes on to say, as I have earlier hinted, if we picked up the hint, would dominate the new astrology in a most interesting manner and condition the chart of those whose horoscopes are being considered. He did give us a color code. He says the triangles are of the spirit and are marked in the hierarchical charts prepared by the masters in blue. That the five-pointed star represents consciousness and is marked out in those charts in yellow. And, obviously, sometimes you don't have all 5 points of a five-pointed star or even of a triangle. And then you have to, potential triangle that is, and then you have to work on completing the triangle or the five-pointed star through intentional cultivation. And as you might expect, the square, which has everything to do with concrete difficulties and tasks and karma and so forth on the physical plane, is represented in black. And that's how the masters judge when they look at the horoscope of their chelas. Now, when you study discipleship in the New Age, which I think is a very important study, and I'm working on it for you and for me, he doesn't say a whole lot about astrology. The group of esoteric astrologers, a few of them, really good esoteric astrologers, are working on digging up the astrology of some of these disciples. And when you put the two together, it's really, really interesting. And I want to say also, as long as am I off on a tangent? I don't know. But I want to have a little program, which is a very free-form program, and in which it will be your responsibility to come with questions on anything in occultism which may be of interest to you. And I'm not saying I can answer with accuracy these things, but maybe some hints can be given that will be useful to you. So I haven't quite figured out when to do that, but free form. Of course, it takes responsibility on your part, because you have to sit down with yourself and think, what really are my burning questions? And when you do that, you will reveal your own psyche to yourself. So that will somehow be coming up if I can just hold the fort here. Okay, I'm not going to get further into this. Libra would be thus and so. Let's see. My next page is 548, and so far I'm okay with that. I have to find it in an awkward manner, unfortunately, because my computer has decided it doesn't want to write numbers. So I have to find out why that is the case. But anyway, let me see if I can, okay, so here's the next page. And as we see from Starling, well, that is the next page. The triple inflow of seventh ray energy. That's what it looks like. And I'll try to get back there for you. And here it is. Oh, I guess I was okay. All right. So now you see that, right, Michael? You see that?
Yes.
So basically, it's elaborating on the three constellations forming a triangle that we were discussing. And you know, when I look at this, before anything the Tibetan has said, I'm reminded of his idea that Aries is impulsing entry into the new age, that Libra represents a point of equilibrium, and it allows us to decide, using Saturn, whether we shall really go forward or not. And Aquarius is the very substance of the new age. So from Aries through Libra to Aquarius, this is an important triangle. Now you're going to find something in your astrological chart, and I do trust that you have had an accurate one, fairly accurate anyway, drawn up for you. And if you were a member of the Moria Federation, well, certainly that would happen. But I'm guessing that students of our type definitely are walking around with their astrological chart nearby. You don't want to forget that, and you want to blend it with your hypothetical ray chart. So anyway, 548, three major planetary influences today. Now, when he says a word like today, we know he's writing this book in the 1930s, but I don't think he is compressing today down into a literality. Even now is today, is what I'm saying. Within the solar system itself, 3 of the sacred planets are peculiarly active. Now that's quite a statement. And of course, the word peculiarly means kind of active in a particular way. Now, I know you may think, well, all of this is a little on the abstract side, but obviously, if it didn't have application to your life, he wouldn't have given it. Because he's not into being impractical in that way. Even the highest things have to be applied to your own life. So, you might ponder, peculiarly active in what way? And how does that activity manifest itself? Just picture that blue-green Uranus and the orange color of Venus, and, well, the kind of well, it's kind of a silvery gray color of, I think, Mercury. Now, Uranus. This planet is the exoteric ruler of Aquarius, although, let me say, in itself, it's a very esoteric planet. It does rule occult mind, and it really has its place in the spiritual triad. And in a way, it rules the higher 4 cosmic ethers: logoic, monadic, atmic, buddhic, whereas Saturn, although it rules the entire cosmic physical plane, is more focused on mental, emotional, physical, the lower aspects in this 4 above 3. Okay. This planet is the exoteric ruler of Aquarius. It is also the esoteric ruler of Libra and the hierarchical ruler of Aries. Well, you can kind of see Uranus working out right now in Libra with all these people who are born in one type of body in terms of what gender they are, and they want to kind of take matters into their own hands and change their gender. Well, the solar angel was not irresponsible in assigning gender for a particular incarnation. And the whole point might be missed because of a reversion to that which is psychologically habitual and therefore impelling and therefore comfortable, but not on the new agenda. This is my thought on the matter, but I'm pretty conservative on certain points. So, esoteric ruler of Libra, a lot of deviations are occurring. And the hierarchical ruler of Aries, which is a very monadic first-ray position. Now, it is peculiarly active at this time, it said earlier, and brings in the 7th ray. Now, do you know, and you should, and so should I, the rays of Uranus. And I think what we're going to find although I cannot ascertain that. We're going to find that Uranus has a first ray monad, just like Earth. Go to page 420, 421. Esoterically, Uranus is the first ray. A seventh ray soul, and it's a very advanced planet. And I haven't quite made up my mind, but either a third ray personality and fifth ray mind, something like that, or maybe a fifth ray personality. It has so much to do with electricity. And then when it comes down to the lower aspects of the planet, there's something very interesting about Uranus, because even though you might think that it doesn't belong in a second ray line, in that chart that gives us Saturn Shambhala, Leo Saturn Shambhala, and Capricorn Mercury humanity, right in the middle is Pisces Uranus hierarchy in a second ray line. So who's to know then where that second ray influence may come in the emotional body? Perhaps, I don't know. But it is definitely in that second ray lineup. So, and here are the circulating energies. Looks like Aries is at the peak as a fire sign, with two air signs on the horizontal axis of equilibrium. And they make their way down to the Earth. Now, in my diagram, I don't know about yours, but the Aquarius-Libra line is pretty solid, thin and solid, and without waves. The Aries-Aquarius and Aries-Libra lines all have this kind of like the serrated edge of a saw. I don't know if that's just an artifact of publishing or whether it really has to mean something. But, you know, DK is pretty interesting in the way he offers us hints through his diagrams. He just doesn't say a thing, and he waits for you to discover it. This triple inflow, he goes on to say, of seventh ray energy, colored by the force of three great constellations, is potent to affect major changes in our little planet. Well, you know, every planet has its great logos. Okay, pretty big being, right? Every solar logos has its, every sun has its logos. And we can go on further. Every constellation has its lord of a constellation. It's constellational lord. I was once talking to I think a very good student of cosmic fire, and he said, well, no, the constellations are just pictures in the sky, and it all depends on our angle, and we judge them by how they look from our angle of vision, but they're not really related in the way you say they are. But immediately I was able to find DK talking about the Lord of the constellation Libra, the Lord of the constellation Aries. He didn't mention all of them, but obviously a very great being is somehow involved working through the various constellations. You can only imagine the grandeur of such a logos working through the constellation of the dragon or of Capricorn or some of those really presently powerful constellations, or through Orion. These are very advanced and cosmically powerful beings. So this inflow of the seventh ray energy, colored by the force of three great constellations, is potent to affect major changes in our planet. Aries will keep us moving forward into the new age. Libra will bring about some kind of authenticity of selfhood. I mean, oftentimes we relate to people in terms of what we expect they expect, and we are just not our authentic self. Well, with Uranus in connection with Libra, we're much more likely to come forward with our authentic self. And when it comes to Aquarius, well, there's the whole power, not only of the new age, but of a new 25,000 year and more age, a great Platonic year ruled by Aquarius, and maybe with Uranus very prominent. Okay. It is, he says, it is interesting to realize that Aries, the inaugurator, is rendered effective on Earth through the organizing potency of Uranus. Now, right there, the organizing potency, he's telling you of the seventh ray nature of Uranus. And if you go to the rulers of Aquarius, the moon is the hierarchical ruler, and Uranus is in the topmost position with respect to the moon. So bear in mind that Uranus is not only the exoteric ruler of Aquarius, but it has a very strong hierarchical placement as well. And maybe this is where I got it, is that it gets a bit hard to know the difference between what you've thought up on your own and what Master GK has said and that you have somehow taken in. So Aries is conducted through Uranus and is effective on Earth and is driving us all forward into a new archetype, which will be the archetype of the Aquarian age and of the still greater Aquarian age. Aries is the source, the beginning, and the initiator of the new age and its coming civilizations, of the appearance of the kingdom of God on earth, and also of the individual initiate into the mysteries. So when you take that step that will prepare you to enter via initiation into the mysteries, you've got some kind of Aries-Uranus impulse behind you, because you're ready to enter what, for your state of consciousness and mine at present, you're ready to enter an entirely new experience. And that's what initiation really means. So Aries is associated with the new, and so is Uranus. And initiation is that introduction into the new. Aquarius is the present determiner of the future. Okay, well, we're used to that idea. It may not all be the way the song about Aquarius says it will be. Harmony, peace, understanding, and all that. That'll come along, but let's just say that that song has been Neptunized just a bit, and some of the harder edges of Uranus have not been considered. Okay, that which is now initiated in Aries will become manifested in Aquarius. Okay, I think that's fairly easy to understand, and we're all going to be participating in that. And Libra will enforce. Now, that's a pretty tough word for Libra, but remember that it is doubly ruled by Saturn, the hierarchical ruler, and also it has Saturn exalted within itself. And Libra will enforce the achievement of a point of balance, or esoterically speaking, of the, quote, escape from opposing forces. Let's see where we are here. Escape from opposing forces at the midway point between the source and the goal. Now, we all know that we have to overcome being torn by the pairs of opposites. And usually, if we consider the opposites to be vertical, it means that we surrender to the soul. We surrender our personal predilections to the angel of the presence. We're all working on it, and it's not so easy. You know, some people in Libra, they make the wrong decision and they do go backwards, and they fall back into some kind of materialism, which Virgo, in its earlier expression, represents. So energy is fairly neutral. No such thing as, when we're speaking cosmically, this is a good energy, this is a bad energy. Even, well, what is it? Algol, which is considered to be, oh, such a star of death. And by the way, in which Joseph Stalin had it very prominent. Not bad for someone who oversaw the death of, what, 30 million people? Anyway, but still it has its point. It has its point to get rid of the non-essentials and to have us really tread the way of occultism. So what looks bad sometimes, from the point of view of the trembling personality, may be a real advantage for the soul. And that inclines Master Moria to say that difficult statement, the worse, the better. I guess only someone who's been through it could say that. And then there is Mercury. Mercury is the expression of fourth ray energy. Now, I want to add that is in terms of its soul, but in terms of its monad, I suspect a fifth ray third ray kind of presentation. A very mental planet, but in terms of its soul, yes, the fourth ray that DK has presented to us. And as far as what we use now when we deal with Mercury, we're not so much using its third ray, fifth ray monad, I think. It also has I believe, a kind of devious third ray personality, and that a lot of people use, tricking and fooling other people. But that's a much lower expression of the third ray. So Mercury is the expression of fourth ray energy. And this is, as you know, peculiarly related to the fourth kingdom in nature, the human kingdom. And how that works is that humanity as a kingdom is very much ruled by Scorpio. And what is coming through Scorpio in terms of rays? The fourth ray. And then I would point out, what is the highest ruler of Scorpio? And some of you will know this, and all of us should. It is fourth ray Mercury, at which point it is the planet of the intuition or of the transcendental mind. So a bunch of fours are accumulating there. The Buddhic plane, the fourth, Scorpio, through which the fourth ray comes, and Mercury, the highest ruler of Mercury, hierarchically considered, bringing in the fourth ray and intuition, and allowing the defeat of the Hydra from a high intuitive perspective. I guess none of us has completely defeated the Hydra. So we're working on it bit by bit. It is of Mercury. It is the esoteric ruler of Aries. Hence it, now because Aries is the inaugurator, right? Hence it, Mercury, leads into the mysteries. Just the way Aries, you would expect Aries to be part of the inauguration of the movement of humanity towards the mysteries. So it is the esoteric ruler of Aries, hence it leads into the mysteries, and is also the exoteric ruler of Gemini. We're used to that, aren't we? Which is the sign of the major opposites as far as humanity is concerned. And let me say, at a certain point, Mercury really emphasizes the vacillation between the opposites. Sometimes you just don't know whether the angel of the presence is on the throne or whether it's going to be taken over by the personality. A lot of back and forth. And why is this? Why is Gemini the major sign of the opposites? Because it signifies, and here are some opposites: soul and personality, consciousness and form. And it is also the exoteric ruler of Virgo, where, by the way, some people think that Mercury finds its exaltation, because it can be quite materially brilliant in Virgo. It is also the exoteric ruler of Virgo, the mother of the Christ child, and may I say that the Son of Mind, which is sort of the Christ consciousness within the soul, is represented by Mercury. The mother of the Christ child, or the form, and that which indwells the form, another of the pairs of opposites. Try to think of some of the pairs of opposites with which you are struggling. To make the matter simple, most of us are struggling between the dominance of the soul or the dominance of the personality, and so is humanity in general. Or have we made enough progress so that agonizing back and forth between our higher principle there, the causal body, and the personality, is coming into adjustment? See, Mercury is the planet of the dilemma. Which do I choose? This, that, and sometimes you feel like one. Sometimes you feel like the other, the dreadful combat upon the astral plane. It is finally the hierarchical ruler of Scorpio, which is the sign of discipleship. And may I ask or say that it has a peculiar testing potency for the first three initiations, in which you are a probationary initiate and finally a true initiate. And then, of course, we get into the role, the destructive role, and beneficently destructive, which Scorpio can be thought of as playing in relation to the destruction of the causal body, which makes of us not only an initiate, but one that can truly contact the monad. So, friends, admittedly, there is a lot to absorb, but with real attentiveness to the meticulous entirety which Master DK has given us in his books, things will fall into place. And the great jigsaw of the circulating and interacting energies will become for us much more approachable, and we will begin to know something about what is called pure reason, if in fact you want to know those things. This, therefore, brings into close relation four great constellations, each of which has a peculiar relation to the dualities with which man has a definite evolutionary concern. They are expressed in a unique manner for humanity through Aries, Gemini, Virgo, and Scorpio, and the following diagram. And we can, connect all the points that have that line between them. The following diagram is descriptive of that nature. Well, you know, Aries-Virgo, when you look at it, it represents the cosmic Christ and the individual Christ. And Virgo, Scorpio, the two M signs, which have to do with the purification of matter and its elevation. When I look at Gemini and Scorpio, I oftentimes think, goodness, this is a good combination for a paparazzo, you know, determined to dig into every little secret that probably they're none of their business, but that's how they make their living, and there it is. When it comes to Gemini and Virgo, they both are related to strongly to the first initiation. And Aries and Gemini have a lot to do with the 2 and the 1. You know, Aries is the great singularity of the first ray, and the Gemini, the great duality of the second ray. Aries and Scorpio, they're both ruled by Mars, and they have to do with the outer battle and the inner battle. And you can probably figure out which is which. And well, you know, it begins to look like the inverted 5-pointed star just a little bit, which doesn't have a particularly good reputation. You know, the inverted pentagram is considered a symbol of materialism and of rendering the concrete mind as a separating sphere of activity, which is a real disaster. But I don't think DK is meaning to present them in this manner. It's all about resolving dualities. And in the Pythagorean system, the number 2 did not have a great reputation because it led to an unmanageable infinity, whereas the number 1, you know, was the unity of all things. Well, I would say that we are divided people. There's always going to be, and you'll read about it quite a bit in esoteric psychology, cleavages everywhere. And the cleavages cause pain, and the cleavages have to be solved, and the cleavages have to be resolved into a unity such that the fourth word of power of the Antikarana formulas, 2 merged with 1, becomes a living reality. He says, when visualizing these diagrams, good luck now, I can never do it, the symbol should be seen in rapid rotation. Maybe we have to call upon Dwayne Carpenter to make us some kind of graphic that will, you know, wake us up to that possibility. Mercury, the messenger of the gods, carries to humanity a certain type of force. Now, by the way, I have to say that Master DK, in a way, is considered symbolically Mercury. I would say he is one of the few truly sanctioned messengers of the hierarchy. there are ever so many people that are just anxious to shout from the rooftops the message that you should have from them or from whomever. But Master DK really is Mercury in that respect. And so many of the people that worked intimately with him had a very strong Gemini component. Alice Bailey for sure, and then Mary Bailey came along with different ray, but the same sun sign and rising sign. And then Foster Bailey with his Gemini rising, and some others who were important in the work, or at least more advanced. They had that Gemini thing. So the master has a very strong representation of Gemini, and hence, of course, Mercury. Mercury, the messenger of the gods, carries a certain type of force, and this precipitates a point of crisis. Well, I don't know if you've paid attention to Master DK. He pretty well says, do you have a crisis? If not, why not? And certainly taking his work seriously will precipitate a spiritual crisis, and maybe more than one. It brings about the next great revolution, which will lead mankind on to new experience and to the revelation of divinity, which it is the destiny of man to reveal. So first it has to be revealed to us, and then we as macrocosm to the lower kingdoms have to be the revealer. Well, I kind of hesitate to go on here with Saturn, because it is, it's quite a demanding thought process. Well, I think, he's, what's he doing? Is he taking the hierarchical rulers? Maybe not, but certainly for Aries, yes, and for Libra, yes. And these are rulers of Libra by and large, but Mercury is not particularly. Yeah, I think I'll leave that to next time. If one of our indispensable communication teams group can remind me of what I said I'd do. Okay. Now, are there any questions or comments? So either Joe or BL or whoever.
Yes, we have a number of them. Earlier on, you were talking about a free-form program, and Anne Veronica said yes. She said Ray 5 never gets tired of questions. And then Ann Parker said yes, that would be great.
Okay, well then, do I have any choice?
Shouldn't the question be, do you have any time?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
you have quite an aggressive schedule, Michael.
Yeah.
But everybody appreciates it. So
thank you so much. Yeah, well, it's just a question of sitting in the temple and I'm working out new methods so I don't have to do too much leaning forward with the resultant effects. But then again, I have to balance everything on my lap. So anyway, occasionally you'll hear the sound of a mouse falling or even a keyboard falling. So look, we all have questions, and they can be all over the map as long as they deal with something that occultism and spiritual occultism, let's say, um, professes to explain to some degree. And of course, the final arbiter of these questions is revealed in a treatise on white magic. And the very first of 4 points is inquire the way. Well, he's not talking to a teacher. He's talking to you and to me. Ask yourself the questions. But of course, it doesn't stop the fact that DK did ask his students to ask him questions. And when you read Esoteric Psychology, Volume 1, you will see his very full and illuminating responses to the questions which the students put forward. Well, I'm not DK, but I can offer some thought, and maybe it will be helpful. And I just have to find the time as soon as I can find the hours of sleep. Find it. I think they go in that order. First, the hours of sleep, and then the time. So I'll keep my eye on it and see what might be able to be done. I've floated the idea for you, and now it's just a question of following through.
Okay, and then Yvonne says, you said when you change sun signs, the monadic point changes. Does that mean your monad? She didn't finish the question, but
no, the monad doesn't change its ray, if that is what you meant. But the particular aspect of energy that will help the monad come more into recognition in that particular life will change according to the change of sun sign, because obviously the sun position and the point opposite it are intimately related. Now, the way I've looked at this, and I still haven't confirmed whether it's truly correct, is that the sun represents the personality, at least according to DK. It's called the sun of probability. The rising sign has driving energies and represents the soul. It's called the sun of possibility. The point opposite the sun sign represents, if we are at that stage where we can actually, have a meaningful somehow reception of monadic energy, it does represent the influence of the monad in a particular life. And I believe, and temporarily at least I believe it, that the point opposite the rising sign represents the spiritual triad. Archetypally, it goes over there to the Saturn-Libra point. And what is it that rules the third great hierarchy, creative hierarchy, which are the triadal lives? It's precisely Saturn and Libra. So that doesn't mean you're always going to have Saturn and Libra over there. You would if you had Aries rising. But it means that generically, archetypally, that's an area of the chart that has some kind of similarity with the triad. And you can go to page 34, 35 really, of Esoteric Astrology, Volume 1. Esoteric Astrology. Well, there's only one volume. It's volume 3 in the 7 Rays series. And you'll see that laid out on the table of spiritual, table of creative hierarchies. So that's my present hypothesis, and I'm working on ways to work on it. You know, the 7th house represents so many things, you know, marriage, partnership, the law, but also, I think, in a higher sense, that triangle we call the spiritual triad. So what was the question? I hope I answered it.
Yeah, you did. Okay. All right. And then Nisa says, reference diagram on page 548. She says, my book has all triangle lines that are smooth. It was printed in 1979. So thinking that your diagram is altered due to digital translation. In other words, a certain, you know, like you can see here, the line from Virgo, you know, on the screen right now, the line from Virgo to Gemini is kind of stair-stepped, but the other ones aren't quite, because they're more direct lines. And I think that's what she's.
Yeah. Well, the kind of rectangle we've got here has straight direct lines. And when lines are crossing, they have some bumps and so forth. But it would be a very subtle thing and could simply be a digital artifact.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. That's what she's saying. I think that's the case.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Okay. Yeah. And then Tia says, based on my subjective experience with Aries and Libra, I tend to support your implication with the diagram.
Okay. Okay, well, you know, further investigation will bring us where we need to be. If only I could, if only. It's not going to allow me, you know. I cannot type numbers on my computer at this time. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But I'm going to, you know, here I go in the hope that, yeah, okay. This is a terrible, awkward way to do this, but I'm really hoping that I'm going to be able to straighten out this mess, because now I begin to understand why I couldn't type numbers elsewhere. Here it is. Got there anyway. The Great Bear hierarchy. Aries, Libra. The Sun rules. Veiling Vulcan. And the second of the liberated creative hierarchies on the cosmic astral plane is the one where we have the connection. So it's a very high group of lives. Well, can anybody turn to page 50 of their book? What are they called? That second creative hierarchy. If I try to get there, I'm going to make a mess of it. Page 50? No, page, what did I say?
Okay. You said 50 and I'm there. Tabulation 3. Dynamic energy is 1. The fifth creative hierarchy is Sirius. The second is, I don't see it named.
This is just called unknown or something?
Yeah.
Oh, so there's
kind
not even a name. Hey, wait a second. But you know what? I'm not too far away. I just have to get to page 30. What is this? Oh, I went too far. Well, just tell your computer to continue to cooperate, and when you print a number, or say a number, let it print it. Okay, that, no, is it?
Yeah, on page, oh, okay, so you went to the other
I went to
page.
the wrong one.
No, but the other one just says unknown, so this might be the one you want.
Okay, but there's no, yeah, it isn't, wait a second.
It doesn't give you the triangles, but
Yeah, it doesn't do much. Well, we're meant eventually to know what that's all about. Aha, it does give words. Unity through effort. And you can understand the unity achieved in Libra with the blending of the pairs of opposites is the result of the effort expended in Aries, but there's really not too much there because it's a very, very high, yeah, there it is. Very, very high expression. It's got ray 4 connected with it. And it's both the second and the 11th grade of hierarchy. And you know what? It seems to me that it must be connected with hierarchy, because those are the two hierarchical numbers, number 2 and number 11. And of course, number 11, in a way, is number 2. But, it's way beyond us. It's way beyond our highest masters to even deal with such things. He gives it, but it's not that we can necessarily understand what are the implications. And maybe I don't know, the highest one, intelligent substance, and it's a ray 3, but it's Pisces, it's the material aspect of Pisces. But I knew a Finnish man, he's gone now, but he wrote some very third-rate books, and he just continued listing the creative hierarchies above and above and above and above, according to a certain sequence of signs. Now, was he correct? Was he right? It's difficult to say. But he wanted to extend the map into an area where not even a master can penetrate. Okay, what else? Anything else?
Yes, a number. Okay, Joe says when soul ray 2 and personality ray 7 fuse, do they become a ray 5 in the upper triad? She says, I'm assuming ray 1 and ray 2 for the other 2 rays of the upper triad, and that ray 2 remains the monadic ray.
Well, are we talking about a soul ray and a personality ray?
Here, let me unmute her so she can explain.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a minute. I think she's with. Okay, Greg, I've asked you to unmute. Can you?
Okay.
Your mom's there with you, right?
Yeah. Can you hear? Mom, can you speak?
Yeah. Okay. I can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, both.
Yes, I was speaking to the personality combining with the soul ray and creating a ray 5, and wondering if, in other words, the fusion of the lower triad doesn't end up being a 5 in the upper triad.
I don't know. It's a very speculative question. I will say that what you've identified there are the 2 primary healing rays, ray 2 and 7. And those rays do not change. What happens is that the 7 simply becomes an instrument of the 2. And going way up into the wait a second, someone's got an echo on here.
Yeah, can you guys mute while Michael's talking, please?
This 2 and 7, this ray 5 that you're talking about, I wonder, are you talking about the cosmic astral plane and those hierarchies that are found there because
don't-
that's just too high.
I don't do well with those upper cosmic planes, so I can't answer.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's helpful perhaps if you know that I have Moon in Aries conjunct Uranus. So what you're speaking about today is very personal.
Okay. Okay, well,
Yeah.
that is a good transformational possibility with Uranus and the moon together that way. And it's quite Aquarian in a certain respect
Oh,
because,
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I don't see the fusion as negating the individual identities of the two rays, which are combining their influence in a beneficent manner. So, you know,
My
Yeah.
question was more directed to what happens in the upper triad.
maybe nothing at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nothing. I mean, because the upper triad requires the building of the antikarana before it gets into the act. And you can already start with the fusion of soul and personality long before that higher possibility begins to materialize. So maybe it gives a conduit for certain triadal rays eventually, but I don't look at it as changing. I don't look at the merging as changing any ray. It might offer a conduit. You know, and by the way, with respect to the rays that are going to be important in the new age, both 2 and 7 are listed strongly. Matter of fact, 1, 2, and 7 are listed. So they kind of skip over ray 3, but you don't even really get to ray 7 without ray 3. See, in the preparation of rays, ray 4 is a combination of 2 and 1. This is how I understand it. Ray 5 of 1 and 3, and ray 6 of 2 and 3. And ray 7 is a balance of all the 3 rays of aspect. I think those are the derivations of those lower rays. But from another point of view, when you get a good relationship working between your soul ray and your personality ray, it is the higher aspect of your personality ray which blends with the soul ray. And they don't, like, in this case, become another ray. They're just functioning optimally. And it's the initial part of soul contact, or we might call it even the initial part of building the antikarana, which has to take place first. And there's no guarantee when that fusion starts to take place that the antikarana has really reached into the triad and starting to pull down triadal energies. That is how I understand it. Of course, that's my
Okay.
own opinion. Yeah.
Okay. And then let me see. Nisa says, reference that diagram on page 549, you know, the 5-pointed Aries, Gemini, Virgo, Scorpio, Earth. She says it's, you know, the text says the symbol should be seen in rapid revolution. And she says 2-dimension, 3-dimension. She says the more she looks at it, it seems to morph into appearing as several 3-dimensional forms. These often seem to revolve, not just as 2-dimensional form, right to left, but in a manner that eventually makes them seem spherical in revolution. She says, what do you perceive as the intent of DK's suggestion?
Well, I think, I think you're onto something there. And I think it's how the energies really fuse and blend. And a three-dimensional rotation, I'm pretty sure, is what he has in mind. And it would be more authentic in terms of how, if you have a strong second ray, you're allied to the grand geometrician. And such people are pretty good at visualizing these relationships. Like, Dwayne Carpenter, he does a lot of this kind of thing. And I simply believe it's a more realistic view of energy flows between them. At the same time, if you look at where these constellations are in space, it might be a little difficult to see the practicality or the actuality of such a rotation. But I'm sure it's a fusing and blending heuristic method. It's a teaching method to see how they really interact and how they flow into each other in a more accurate manner. So if you might be allied with the great architect of the universe, which is Ray 3, or maybe with the grand geometrician. And such people like to play a lot with geometric possibilities.
And then we've got a couple of comments here on flexible chairs. I'll email that to you. Catherine asked, have you got the numbers lock on? That might help with your numbers problem. The numbers lock on your keyboard.
My numbers lock doesn't even work.
That might be one of your problems. But that's for another time. And Veronica says, I think in the second line to hierarchy, you also put Uranus in, and I do not see it here.
Hey, by the way, whoever just told me that, you've made it possible for me to hit a number.
Your numbers lock key worked.
Now it doesn't have the usual light that it has, but now I can apparently go where I want to go.
Good.
Maybe. I don't want to be overly optimistic.
Thank you, Catherine.
There we are. Thank you. I guess, some problems are simpler than others. Okay, great. That's a help. Now, what was the latest one?
And Veronica said, I think in the second line to hierarchy, you also put Uranus in, and I do not see it here.
Okay, well, you got to be looking in the
you were looking at multiple tables, right?
Hold on. Let's see what I've got. Let's see. I've got, how can I go from this first reference to other references? This is Esoteric Astrology and 548. Well, no, let's see. I'm using Uranus Pisces. Let's see if that works. Why can't I type? No, I see what I'm doing. Pisces, Capricorn. Okay, now.
We can't see anything. We're still seeing
I
tabulations.
know you can't see anything yet. You can't see anything yet. It's on a different, I'm Uh-huh. I wonder. It's definitely here, you know, so definitely here. So I'm trying to figure out why I can't find it. Okay. Uranus, Pisces, Capricorn, Leo, Uranus, Pisces, Capricorn, Leo, Saturn. I'm getting closer. I think so. Here. There it is. That's one of them.
We don't
Now,
see it
you
yet.
don't see it yet? No, I know you don't. Okay, here's one of them. Now, they also show it to you in columns. But as you can see, Pisces, Uranus, hierarchy, and the second ray are connected. Leo, Saturn, Shambhala, and the first ray, and Capricorn, Mercury, humanity, and the third ray. Now let's see if I can get any closer. Okay, wait a second. Because I'd like to find the one that has the columns, and I certainly should be able to find that. So, okay, let's see. Okay. Oh. Now, okay, someone advise me here. How can I go to the next one? Is it just Control F5 or is it F5? What is it?
Sorry, I don't use that program. Joe, can you help him?
I think Joe is not here, but anyway.
I can't. I don't have that level of expertise.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's this is actually a simple one, and my computer is just doing strange things. Now let me find one more thing. Shambhala, hierarchy, IEIEARCHY. Oh, it's the same thing. This is the page, and for some reason I can't get to it. But it's definitely a column. There are 3 columns. Can it be that I'm in the wrong book? Is that possible? It would
One
seem
way
that,
you know is look at your hit list.
okay, Uranus, Pisces, etc., etc. Now let me try this. I'm trying to make it easier for you, and I'm making it difficult for myself. Okay, now, because, you know, the fact that they're all together is very, no, it's the same thing. It's in esoteric astrology, definitely. And I'm just not sure how I can go. See, here is a statement, and I showed you this already. And wonder if I go up a little more, whether I'll find it or not. I know that you don't see this yet. Well, maybe you do. I just hate to waste time in futile searches. But just look for the column, and you will see the will to determination, the will to sacrifice, the will to choose. These 3 are brought together, triangles, and I just don't know why in the world I'm not finding the columns, but I already did show you the fact that they are listed as 3 triangles in which Uranus and Ray 2 are definitely together. So that's the strange thing. And the fact that I can't find what I always find is really strange as well. Help, okay. And every time I go down, well, there it is. But it's not in the columns that I want. Okay, do you see it?
Yes.
It will be obvious to you. Certain interlocking triangles emerge. The zodiacal triangle of, just imagine columns, Leo, Pisces, Capricorn, under which are Saturn, Uranus, Mercury, under which are Shambhala, hierarchy, humanity. So if you go up, what you've got in the second column is hierarchy, Uranus, Pisces. And why Uranus should be associated with the second column is, I'm still working on it, you know, that's all I can say. And the fact that I can't find it at the moment is the source of frustration. But okay, as soon as we stop our program, I will find it. Okay, anything else?
Yes. Tia says in your response to Joe's question involving the ray relationships between 2, 1, 5, and 7 in soul and personality, you mentioned the 3 rays of aspect and their relation with the 7th ray in the coming age.
Yep.
Can you explain and develop this idea a bit more?
Well, simply that the 7th ray is reaching a point of perfect balance. So the 3 rays of aspect build up that particular ray of attribute. As I said, ray 4 is a combination of ray 2 and 1, very aggressive but very harmonious. Ray 5 is a combination of 1 and 3. Now visualize for yourself the Pythagorean tetractys. You know, it looks like the bowling pins. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ray 5 is exactly under ray 1 in that diagram. So when ray 5 changes from a ray of attribute into a ray of aspect, it goes on to the first ray. And then, of course, ray 3 is simply of the rays of aspect, the first 3, it's on the same line as ray 1. Then ray, you got kind of a choice with ray 6, but I do think it's a combination of the love of the second ray and the activity of the third ray. Now, sometimes it has a driving direct power, which would incline me to include ray 1 as well. So I'm just not sure about the 6th ray, but let's just say ray 1, 2, and 3 all have a kind of place in terms of what the 6th ray does. And with ray 7, you finally get a perfected balance between the 3 rays of aspect. And that, you know, 7 is the number of Libra, which is the sign of balance, the equilibration of all the energies and the hope for the new age. That's probably, for the moment, the best I can do on that.
Okay, and Michael?
Yeah.
Nisa has a couple of suggestions for you here. The first one is to go to page 428. She thinks that's where your table is, and it looks like it to me too.
In astrology?
Yes,
If so, why was I constantly missing it?
because
Yeah.
you didn't go up quite far enough.
Okay.
And
You're
because
right, you're right.
it's hard to search.
She's absolutely right.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Both of those pages, it spans both of those pages.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it.
And then,
Thank you, Nisa.
and
And do you
then,
see that? And does everybody
Yes,
see
right.
what's going on with love, wisdom, Sirius, Pisces, Uranus? Now, let's just put, there's one connection here that bears looking into. Uranus is one of the major planets that conveys Sirian energy. Of course, Saturn does too. But here we are dealing with the Sirius cosmic Christ idea. And Uranus is one of those carriers of Sirian energy. Then hierarchy and so forth. And then, let's go down just a little more. Thanks for finding that. I didn't go up far enough. It goes all the way down to the heart center and to the solar plexus. So there it is. Was it Catherine that asked about that? There are 18 different positions, and they're easier to look at here on page 427 and 428. And it's very mysterious that a primarily first-ray planet with a first-ray monad like Uranus should be put in a second-ray line. But remember also that the Earth is a first-ray monad and has plenty in it of the second ray. But as far as the rays of Uranus, I believe, and it's confirmed, first ray monad, seventh ray soul, probably a third ray personality, fifth ray mind. I don't know about the astral body. That might be the interesting conduit for soft line force. And then I suspect a first or seventh ray physical, etheric physical body. But time will tell. Time will tell. So thanks, Nisa, for that. Okay.
And then
I
she
just
says
put-
there,
I just put the pages in a Word doc for people to download if they want. It's in.
Oh, good, good, good.
and
I
then
knew
she,
it was there. Okay, go ahead.
she also says there's a short list at the bottom of page 539.
See, my, wait a second. I think I corrected my, yeah, I did. I forgot that I corrected it.
Keep going.
Oh, wait a second. That's discipleship.
Oh, you're in the
Absolutely.
wrong book. Yeah,
Wrong
it's in EA.
book.
It's in EA.
It's esoteric astrology.
Yeah.
I just have to know how to navigate. And yeah, here's the, yeah, okay. Well, okay. Do you mean by that the Leo, Capricorn, Pisces? Because this looks to me like a presentation of hierarchical rulers. But it is an important list. It's an important triangle between these three, which show up on the big list of 18 positions.
So the one you were really looking for is the one she just found for you above, right?
Exactly, page 427.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I think that's everything. Like Joe said, she's posted that table from page 427 and 428.
Yeah.
So people can get it.
Well, with your help, I can navigate and see my numbers lock just is not showing. Usually I get a, now it's showing. Okay, that was the problem. That was the problem. And sometimes simple things can hang you up, but thank you for whoever offered that suggestion. Was it Catherine? Anyway.
Yeah, I think it was Catherine. So.
Yeah, okay. Okay, friends, well, look, we'll get at this again. Now, tomorrow night, we have quite a different subject. It's the identify as being. I always leave myself a little bit fresh to undertake whatever I'm going to talk about. So I don't even know yet what it's going to be, but it'll be in our general subject of actually being able not just to know that being exists, but to, excuse me, have the experience of identifying as being. Now, Christ says, I'm the light of the world. It requires he identify as light. And maybe too, he says, I am the love of the world. Well, it's something you would expect him to say. And he's going to tread the fifth great path out of the solar system, which is the ray path. And he will, for who knows how long, become a insulated ray of love. If you want to read in Cosmic Fire about what goes on that path, it's pretty obscure, but a power of insulation is operative so that whatever master goes that way can really be precisely that ray. And eventually he will make his way to Sirius. So that's a wonderful section to read. You know, the Tibetan has given us a great multi-dimensional sphere of knowledge. It doesn't just stop at 3 dimensions. It really is multi-dimensional. And the ability to navigate from one point to another is pretty much what I'm calling pure reason. And the more we study him in this respect, the more that particular faculty will begin to show itself as a faculty we can use. Okay, well, thank you, BL and Joe and Michael, and I appreciate the backup, you know, like the police call in the backup, right? I need a little backup here, and I so often do. So anyway, tomorrow night, I think it's 5 o'clock GMT. I'll try to think of something interesting for us. There's just so many interesting tangents that one can go on when considering being. Maybe some of the philosophers like Sartre and Heidegger, they have written on that subject, but probably not from the esoteric perspective per se. I'm not sufficiently acquainted. It's the Vedantists, Veda Vedantists of olden times that have really written on that subject, and especially Shankaracharya. He has written on that subject. So let's just say we all have a lot to learn. We have a great teacher in Master DK, and let's just keep learning and absorbing. thank you for your presence, your attendance, and I'll stop the recording. And I think Michael Crow has to turn off the program. Are you there, Michael?
Yep. Still here.
Okay. So bidding you farewell from all of us, and onward we go.